Do you have any idea what the land values are in PEI? Because we heard earlier what they would be in Alberta and Ontario.
Yep. Anywhere from 6,000 an acre to, depending on where it's located and how big the field is, probably up to 10 or 12,000.
Right. And Mr. Ross, I might turn over to you here, because we do see with intergenerational transfers, and my family is no different in trying to do succession planning. Are there obstacles is it specifically in each province to those intergenerational transfers? And I'd also ask, like, we hear a lot of people talking about farmers selling their land and having it paved over into subdivisions. And Mr. Docherty mentioned earlier about succession and how farmers have all of their money tied up in assets, and assets are not always paid off. Mm-hmm. Contrary to what we heard from the Liberal members earlier today, assets don't mean that you are rich. Assets mean that you probably still owe a lot of money, and as a farmer, I know that, and being a young farmer trying to get into the business is very difficult. We heard $6 million worth of just equipment needed earlier for these potato farmers, and that's a seed potato operation. That's not a fresh market operation like I've been involved in my lifetime, and that's far greater than that. So what do you see as the biggest impediment, I guess, for farmers who are trying to transfer their farms over intergenerationally?
30 seconds.
I would say, I mean, you rightly pointed out, I mean, we are at record levels of farm debt in Canada. We are at roughly $140 billion of farm debt being held across the country right now. And so the land prices vary dramatically from province to province, but I think the common burden is twofold. One being the access to capital and the cost of taxation associated with the transfer, and two is the fact that increasingly these large farms are sophisticated operations, and there needs to be a long-term planning process, and sudden changes like what was done this year with the capital gains destabilizes that fundamentally for those intergenerational farm transfers.
Thanks, Mr. Ross. Thank you, Ms. Rood.